Did you know that 80% of today's movies are actually shot on film? With countless 4K, 6K, and even 8K cameras being added to the market, the film aesthetic continues to be a look that most directors try to emulate. Why, you may ask? Well, there's no right or wrong answer, but about 15 years ago, director Robert Rodriguez stated that the only reason you should shoot on film is for nostalgia. The next question you may ask is, how can I achieve the film look? That's where dehancer Pro comes in handy, a drag and drop preset that helps you emulate the film look in a few clicks. But today I'll be putting dehancer to the test to see if it's really worth it by shooting a short film in harsh conditions. So I'll be back after that.
The river. A place that is overlooked and underused in my town. But for the past year, I've been coming here to find peace and reflect on anything going on in my life. Most of my days consist of the same boring, mundane task, like going out to shoot one-off gigs and spending an insane amount of time editing, or being on countless calls trying to land clients and discussing video concepts. Finding time to enjoy the little things in life can be hard on your busy schedule, but I encourage you to find 30 minutes a day to get out and breathe some fresh air and enjoy the sounds Mother Nature has to offer. And to the river that never speaks back, you have changed my life.
Now I'm gonna break down how I was able to create this look in Premiere Pro and show you guys the features dehancer has to offer. So coming over to my clip, I'll go to my Lumetri tab and adjust my white balance. I brought my temperature to 11.2 and my tint to 0.1, just making sure the houses in the back were white. Then I added an adjustment layer above my clip, and back to Lumetri color, I boosted my saturation, then went down to my curves, went to RGB curves and created a slight S curve to bump my shadows down and boost my midtones up and lower my highlights a bit. Then I added another adjustment layer, went to the creative tab and added a LUT. For the LUT, I bumped the intensity down to 52.2. The LUT ended up making the houses a bit orange, so again I adjusted my white balance. I brought my temperature down to a negative 10.3 and my tint to a 2.4. Now I'm going to turn off my adjustment layer so you can see the look I had and the changes I made. So now I added another adjustment layer, clicked it and went to my effects tab. Going to video effects, click on film emulation, and you'll see dehancer here. I just drag and dropped it to my new adjustment layer. So now you see we have these options in our effect controls. We have input, film developer, and the list goes on. So I'll go step by step on how to use these controls. I am not a professional colorist, so I do recommend you guys just play around with all these settings to learn what they do to your footage. Here I'm going to start off with input. This is basically what color space you're working in. So I came down to camera. You'll see all the camera profiles they have. I went down to Sony a7R III S-Log3 because that's what I shot in, and I also clicked on defringe. Then I clicked on the film tab, and you'll see here we have over 60 film stocks. I have tried some, but I went to Kodak Ektachrome because I've been wanting to use this film for a while. Now down here you'll see push and pull, and if you move this it'll change your colors. I went with negative 0.5. Now I went down to film developer. Here you'll see the controls that help you achieve the colors you want. Me personally, I just mess around with the gamma correction and my color boost. Then I came down to film compression. I usually just enable it and leave the values the same. Coming down to expand, I also just leave this as is. This allows you to make your image darker or brighter. Coming down to print and profile, you'll see your print options. Usually a good one is the Kodak glossy paper, but I like the Kodak 2838 print film. Coming down, I just enabled the range limiter. Down here in color head, you can group your options above and increase or decrease your blues, greens, and reds. I usually don't touch them, but I do come down here and boost my shadow tones between 7 to 11 and my midtones around the same range. Come down, click enable. Now onto film grain. Here you can mess with the size, amount, and certain areas where you want to adjust the grain, and they even have negative or positive grain. I usually bump down my amount to around 16 and my midtone grain between 20 to 30. Scrolling down, you'll see we have halation. This is the red glow you get around certain highlights. I usually leave these settings alone, and if I do want to change the intensity, I just mess with the impact, but I also enable this. If you click mask mode, it will mask everything except the halation, so you can see how it affects your footage. Now coming down to bloom, it's similar to halation. You have all these controls. I usually leave them as is. And if I want to change the impact, I'll just move that slider. And again, I'll enable it. And then above it, you also have the mask mode again. Down here, you have vignette and film breath. I usually don't use either of these. Coming down, you also have gate weave. Not sure what it does, but it zooms in for me, so I don't use it. Now down here, we have false color. This is helpful to see your IRE levels. If you click it, it will show you the IRE levels your footage falls under. And down under the output tab, you can adjust the intensity of your look. For this one, I did bump it down to 26 as I'm going to add further adjustments to my color after export. So now after export, you see the look we have achieved, but I wanted to grade the look a bit better. So again, I added another adjustment layer above my clip and came over to my effects tab and typed in Lumetri color and dragged it onto my clip and came over to creative tab and bumped my vibrance up to 8.7 and my saturation to 106.5. Then I came down to my curves and created a S curve to adjust my shadows, midtones, and highlights. And then my reds I left alone. I came over to my greens and I also adjusted it to make my greens pop. And then I went over to the blues and did the same to get the blue color I wanted. Then I added another Lumetri color to the adjustment layer and went back into my creative tab and added another LUT and bumped the intensity down to 18 and came down to vibrance and bumped it up to a 4 and bumped my saturation up to 103. Please keep in mind that this is all trial and error. What I learned. One thing about film is it's not easy to understand, which is no surprise, but I don't think it's anything complex. If you see in a short film, some scenes look overexposed or underexposed, and that's because I didn't do my research on the film types and what conditions they look best in. But before I tell you guys if it was worth it or not, if you are interested in picking up dehancer, you can use code CRAZY at checkout for a 10% discount, or if not, I do recommend you to try the free trial. So is dehancer worth it? Yes, for someone like me who loves film and has been trying to get that look with LUTs, film grains, and has even tried DaVinci Resolve, this plugin saves you from all the BS. But it does come with some cons. If you have seen this plugin before, you do know it's on the pricier side. The second con is if you are editing off a potato, your render times will be long, and 9 times out of 10 you will run into some lag. Now I would like to know how you guys achieve the film look. I will be waiting for your response in the comments, and if you guys do want to see more content like this, subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.